gon' say I'm racist, but they call everybody racist. I guess that mean nobody is racist. Now it doesn't mean much when you say it. When you say it, they gon' say you racist. Woo!
Hey everyone, it's Andrew Klavan with this week's interview with Matt Walsh and Justin Folk. Justin Folk is the director of the new film, Am I Racist? I don't know what Walsh did. Is he just hanging around in the picture, wandering from place to place, bothering people like he did in What is a Woman? I have to say, What is a Woman, you know, because I work here, I watched What is a Woman as a favor, and then I was, after 5 minutes, I was completely locked in. Am I Racist? Looks absolutely terrific. I cannot wait to watch it. And I say that not really having any affection for Walsh whatsoever. Matt, it's semi-good to see you. How are you?
I appreciate the introduction and doing well. And we're excited about this movie coming out. There's we were talking off air just a second ago, but some nerves as well as we get closer to their premiere. It's a pretty big deal. We're putting a movie in theaters, but the response so far has been like overwhelmingly positive, and we're really thrilled by that.
I have to say, we're taping this. I'm going to see it on Monday, so we're taping this before I get to see it. The trailer and the clips I've seen are absolutely hilarious. I mean, the minute I saw this, I thought, wow, maybe Walsh does have some talent. I mean, this is like, it is really an amazing enterprise to have journeyed into this cesspit. You brought out What is a Woman, and it was a smash, and it was great. There's got to be pressure when you start to do a second film. Can I live up to that? I mean, how did you kind of maneuver yourself from there to here?
Yeah, well, that was a big part. I mean, that was like the main subject of conversation when we decided to make a second movie. And well, we knew that we wanted to, like, once you, especially when you're in the podcast game, as you well know, and you're kind of churning out content. And one of the it's the nature of the business that the news cycle moves fast, and so whatever your podcast is about today, nobody cares about it tomorrow. Right. And then you make a film, and you see that it's possible to spend time creating one piece of content, and it'll have an impact that lasts longer than 5 seconds, and that's quite fulfilling actually. So I knew once you kind of get a taste of that, it's like you want to keep doing it. So we wanted to make another movie, and we knew that we wanted to talk about race because that's the other sort of big area of cultural controversy after you deal with gender and the LGBT, gender ideology world. But at least I discovered this was really the first time in my career that I had anything that would qualify as a smash success. So I was never burdened by any successes prior to that. But then you have a success and you realize, okay, it is a little bit of a gift and a curse here because it's great that it was a success, but now everything you do has to live up to that and measure up to it. And we were very aware of that, very much cognizant of it the whole time. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to not attempt to just do the same thing again, to not do, What is a Woman Reloaded or whatever, a sequel, but to try a whole new approach, different subject, whole new approach, just going about it really kind of like radically different way. And I think it paid off.
You kind of got lucky in the sense that when you see What is a Woman, you think, well, they can never come up. The problem for you is that they can never come up with any idea as stupid as the idea that a man can turn into a woman and then be an actual woman. But in fact, they actually came up with a good one, which is that we can solve racism by hating people for the color of their skin. And you sort of entered into that insane world. I mean, where did you go to make this film?
We went all over. I mean, we went all across the country. We were filming for over a year, and coast to coast. We went wherever. We went wherever kind of the story took us, and that was the thing going into it, was that we were going to let these people sort of guide us on the journey, because the premise, I suppose, of the film is that I'll start by asking questions, just like we did in What is a Woman. But in What is a Woman, I remained sort of blank slate, skeptical the whole way through until the end. This one, we thought, what happens if, rather than being skeptical, I accept and believe everything that I'm told and then try to put it into practice and let them kind of guide us down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And that's what we decided to do.
Did they fall for it? I mean, I don't want you to give anything away, but I mean, do you put on that wig? But other than that, you look just like yourself. And by the way, the wig suited you. I thought you should wear it all the time. But
thank you.
But you you look just like you. But did anybody recognize you?
Yeah, it looked just like me, sound just like me. We didn't put on a new voice or anything. It was a very, maybe Trump would call it it was a very low energy disguise in many ways, low energy and low effort. But that was also, that part of that was like necessity, because I absolutely refuse to shave my beard. And if I'm not going to shave my beard, that really limits the kind of disguises we can employ here, because I'm always going to have the beard. And that was a deal breaker for me. But we also discovered that it ended up being kind of a joke within itself, that I could put such little effort into disguising myself, and it was enough to fool them. And I think one of the reasons for that is that these people are so arrogant and so high on their own supply, I suppose, intellectually, that they just can't imagine that anybody would ever challenge them. They can't fathom ever being in a room with someone who doesn't automatically agree with everything they say. So I think going into it, it just never occurred to them that this could be anything other than an opportunity for us all to admire and celebrate their great intellect and their moral clarity. Like they never even thought that it could be anything but that. And that's I think worked to our advantage quite a bit.
What exactly are they trying to achieve?
When you say they, you mean like the DEI grifters, the
yes.
anti-racist expert? I think this might oversimplify it, but I think they're getting paid, they're making money, and we even put in the film, we put up on screen how much money we paid them to appear in our film, because we're not hiding from that. So they're making money. They have power and influence that they're getting out of it, and also they are being looked to as these kind of gurus, these moral experts. People are going to them.
What do they say they're trying to achieve? What are they telling you that you're going to get out of this?
Well, they say they're trying to achieve the deconstruction of whiteness in America, which means making America a less racist place. But that's actually one of the problems, because it's a good question. Like, to ask them, what are you trying to achieve? We discovered they have trouble articulating that, because you would think they would say, well, we want to help people not be racist anymore. We want to have a country that isn't racist. You'd think that'd be their answer, but they don't exactly say that, because part of the whole game here is that if you're white, you can never be not racist. In fact, I asked Robin DiAngelo this, and she says, well, in any given moment, you can be more racist or less racist, but you can never be not racist. Which means that, they can't even claim that they're going to help you not be racist anymore. Instead, it's almost like they treat it like if you're white, then it's almost like it's like a moral terminal cancer that you have, and you can't be cured of it, but it can be managed. And so they're going to manage it. It's like a hospice care, and they're going to manage you with your racism until you mercifully die, which they would like you to do sooner rather than later.
Now, I don't want to be too nice to you, but in case I need to borrow money from you later, I do want to say that you are a master of deadpan humor. I mean, you have some of the best deadpan, jokes I've ever seen. Was it hard to keep a straight face while you're listening to this?
No, I mean, yeah, people ask me that, and I honestly, it's not because, well, Jeremy says I'm a sociopath, and that's the reason.
Well, that's obviously true. Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, that helps. But then also, in truth, in real time, making a film like this, it's an hour and 40 minutes on screen, but obviously, when we're in the room and we're doing these interviews or we're at these events, we're talking an hour, 2 hours that I'm there in real time, and actually being there, it's really quite depressing being in the room. It's certainly uncomfortable and awkward, and it's just depressing being around these people and hearing what they're saying and watching as these grifters are like breaking down these hapless white people that come for these sessions and race to dinner and all that kind of stuff, and they're sitting there getting broken down and brainwashed and berated, and it's not funny. At the time, in the moment, it's actually not funny. I think it's more the problem is less keeping a straight face and more stopping myself from yelling at them and lashing out. So that's more of the challenge.
You know, repeatedly as we're speaking, you call them grifters. They're literally grifters. I mean, Ibram X. Kendi has been accused of spending all the millions of dollars that he's getting in donations. And Robin DiAngelo, who's actually in the film and is basically the doyen of the entire movement, she has now been accused of plagiarizing authors of color, which is an amazing, if that's true, it's an amazing act of grift. Do you get the feeling that they know that this is what they are, or do you think that they feel justified within themselves?
I kind of think, I think psychologically, nobody can just look at themselves as a villain. I think that at some level, I assume you have to convince yourself at some level that you're doing the right thing. But I also don't think that they believe a lot of what they're saying. They can't believe it because it's so obviously absurd. It's almost as absurd as what the grifters and the gender ideology side of things, like what they say. It's not quite as incoherent on that level, that they literally can't define the word woman. But it's still totally ludicrous. So I don't think that they totally. So if I had to guess, I think that they know that a lot of what they're saying is not true. They know that they're lying, but they've told themselves that it's for the greater good. Mm-hmm. And this is how these people need to be treated, so they can be less racist. And so I imagine that's how they justify it to themselves.
You go out on this thing and you know, it's not written. You don't know what you're going to see. Was there anything that really shocked you, that surprised you, that you thought you did not think you were going to bump into it?
It's more the degree. It's not the thing itself. That if I was surprised, it wasn't by a thing that happened. It's the degree of it. It's like how vicious these people are, in so many cases, how despicable. You have the grifters, and then you have the people that go to those grifters to be healed of their racism, and those people, to see how sucked into it they are. I mean, to be in a room where you've got white people, as this happened multiple times filming the movie, white people kind of like going around in a circle, confessing their racial sins and breaking down in tears as they talk about incidents of them being racist. And none of the stories are actual stories of racism. It's just them being normal. And they are broken up with just beating themselves up with this idea that they've been racist. So I think maybe that part of it, it's actually to see the grifters, they don't surprise me, but the people that buy into it, to see how much they've actually, I think, bought into it, that they really believe it, they're true believers. Maybe that's the most surprising thing. And
they're obviously they're all white people. Did you get a sense of what their economic status was, where they were coming from?
Yeah, I think that these are mostly upper middle class, middle to upper class, probably even mostly like upper class white people that get into this. We also, in the film, we wanted to get a good cross section of America, and so we went to lower income. We went to a biker bar in the South, and these all white people, the Confederate flags hanging on the walls. Certainly not, I don't think, financially upper class people by any means. We talked to them. We went down to the poor Black communities in New Orleans and talked to people there. And in that case, we got a very different picture. And these were people, both the white and Black group, were people who are really very far outside of this bubble. They don't know who Robin DiAngelo is. They barely have even heard of DEI. You talk about systemic racism, and they don't even know what that word means because they've just never encountered it. It's not part of their daily life. And so I do think that this is an upper class thing. And if you're if you went to college, you're going to be exposed to it. If you're in corporate America, you get exposed to it. And so, yeah.
So I have to ask, last question. You go to these people, and some of these people are big. They're making big bucks. Have you heard, or has Josh from Legal heard any response from them? I mean, are they after you to shut this down, or do you expect to get some lawsuits out of this?
Who knows? I mean, who knows what the future holds? It's always an adventure. As far as I know, we haven't heard anything. They haven't, and the trailer's been out, and we put clips out, and they haven't said anything. In fact, it's been the opposite. Robin DiAngelo took her Twitter down. Syra Rowell, who runs Race to Dinner, is in the movie. She took her Twitter down. So I think their strategy right now is to say nothing at all. The truth is that I don't know if that will last. I think they're probably going to have to say something. But there's not a lot that they can say because we didn't. Now, if they could come out and claim, oh, I was deceptively edited, I never said that, they put words in my mouth, then they would certainly say that. But they can't say that because we didn't do that. And all we did was portray them as they are. And we captured what they actually said and what they did. We have it on screen. There's not a lot they can say about it. So I think that their strategy right now is to kind of hide under their beds and wait for this to go away. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that for very long, though.
Yeah, well, listen, what does a woman really change the conversation in the country? There's no question, and I have no doubt this will do the same thing. And it's the only thing that's kind of amazing is that nobody else is doing this. That no one else has the guts, basically, to go out and face these people in their dens and bring them out. You are a sociopath. I think that does help. I mean, that's really it's your gift, I think, to the world is your sociopathy.
It's my secret. It's my secret weapon, I admit.
Well, it's good to see you. I know the picture's going to be a smash, and I hope you'll still talk to us. You don't have to, but if you think of it, it would be nice if you still talk to us after you become even bigger success. Well,
you can talk to one of my assistants, and they'll pass along your message.
I appreciate that. Okay. It's good to see you, Walsh.
See you. Thank you.
Nothing matters more than your health, but it isn't always easy to prioritize your health if you're not sure where to start. That's why I want to tell you about Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning to know what's going on with your metabolism, meaning whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Once that's been determined, the app gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. Forget those one-size-fits-all diet fads. What sets Lumen apart is its ability to understand you on a personal level. I've used it. First of all, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see this thing, and you don't have to stress about what you should be eating in the morning after you take those late-night romantic walks to the fridge and succumb to the cravings. I never do that, but some of you I know may do that like me. Lumen's ability to craft a personalized nutrition plan for each day tailored to my body's needs and goals is revolutionary. With Lumen, you're not just getting a device, you're getting a health companion. Breathe into it before and after a workout or a meal and gain real-time insights into your body's metabolic response. If you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/Klavan to get 15% off your Lumen. That's LUMEN.me/KLAVAN, no E, for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. So I also want to talk to the director of the film, Justin Folk. And of course, when I say I want to talk to Justin Folk, it's a little bit of an exaggeration. I've worked with Justin Folk. I know Justin Folk, and no one would say that he want to talk to him. Justin, I think, got his start. He can correct me if I'm wrong. When I was getting my start as a commentator, doing my Klavan on the Culture videos for PJTV, what made those videos work as well as they did, and they really did work gangbusters, was that Justin was not only directing them, but also animating them. And so I was working very closely with him. And after years of rehab and psychotherapy, I've gotten over that experience so that I can almost face him. You may notice I get a little twitch when I talk to him. But aside from that, Justin, it's good to see you, pal. I have to tell you, I am not surprised at all to see you turning out what looks like a great film.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me on. And I'm sorry for bringing up the PTSD and making you suffer through this all over again. No, listen, I mean, we got into this. We seemed to kind of get into this together. And here we are years later looking back. And I really actually look back fondly to what we did together on Klavan on the Culture. We, really kind of got this political commentary stuff going. Your monologues were always dead on. I mean, they still are, but I just really appreciated that time of being able to be creative in the war of ideas. And, we still are. We still get to do that. But that was a really great experience and a growing experience for me, and really, really value those years, and kind of looked up to you as a creative mentor in a lot of ways. So thanks for that.
That's, it ruins my reputation, but but it's kind of you to say. And, I don't think it is bragging at all to say that those videos changed the way people did commentary and really set a new tone on the right, which I was really proud of. And, when I was hired away from PJ by Glenn Beck, and I love Glenn to death, but he wouldn't bring you with him. And I said, you don't understand. It's not me doing these videos. It's me and Justin. And they never worked again as like they did when you were doing them. And it was great work. It really was. And you drove me insane, as you can see. But I think
well, I'm glad we could fail. I'm glad we could fail upwards together.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this. This is really, I mean, first of all, you have Matt Walsh who walks into these situations. He seems to be unflappable as he goes in to confront these people. How do you feel about that? Because you always had a strain of that yourself. You used to tell me about some of the pranks you would pull on people, and I won't say them because I know the police, there's still warrants out for you in several states. But
right.
But you really have no qualms about going into these situations, do you?
It's just a lot of fun. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think the statute limitations has worn off on some of those things, but I always enjoyed sort of challenging authority. And in doing so, just sort of like getting into places and situations that maybe I shouldn't be, and challenging authority. And it's great to make a living at it now, honestly. And really, when you look at it, it's the left that is the authority today. I mean, they control all the major institutions. They run academia and the media and everything else. And so it's a real opportunity for me to sort of be that same guy I used to be, have some fun, have some laughs, but actually do maybe some good work and attack some bad ideas. And Matt has just been a phenomenal partner on all that. We basically share the same sense of humor. And in a lot of ways, we encourage each other and embolden each other a bit, although he is a stone cold killer in those moments. And
he needs treatment.
Nobody can. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to provide the playground for him to play in, and so far it's turned out pretty well. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can't talk about that I kind of wish we could, but it's just been a lot of fun. It's been challenging, but it's been a lot of fun. So
you walk into these places where they're selling this idea that they're going to sort of cure your whiteness, or I still don't understand. I asked Walsh about it; he couldn't explain it either. What exactly it is that they're offering as a service. What are you looking at? What are you seeing? That were you stunned, shocked, surprised, or just you expected it?
Yeah, you hear about this stuff, but when you see it playing out in the real world, the way these people think, it does set you back a moment. You're like, wow, these people are serious right now. And the ideas they're pushing, the sort of pseudo kind of neo-racist ideas that they're essentially corporatizing these ideas and feeding them to people. And the thing that surprises me the most is that there are people out there that are just willing to accept these ideas and go along with it for some kind of sense of virtue. I don't know, because it's absolute nuttiness and madness and racism in a different form, truly. And so getting Matt into, for example, a support group workshop where they're talking about white grief, how to grieve your white privilege, essentially. You would think that like we made that up, like we conjured that, but it's a real thing. And all we had to do is convince them to allow us to film it, and then just sort of parachute Matt Walsh into the situation. So it was a lot of fun, but it is eye-opening once you meet these people in person and hear what they actually have to say. And ultimately, that was our idea. I mean, let's just show Americans and show the public what these people are preaching and what they're trying to force down all of our throats. And in doing so, I think, hopefully it basically sends a message to America. This needs to stop. So
is it difficult to shoot something like this? Because you're basically shooting it as a documentary. How creative can you get? And what are you thinking when you walk in to those scenes?
Well, we know there's no second takes,
Yeah.
and there's a lot that goes into these things, right? There's sometimes months of preparation to get this all set up and just right, and to have sort of the buy-in from them and the crew, and everything just needs to really work, and you're not going to get a second chance. And so the thing I credit Matt for is he actually does prepare well. He really does think this stuff through. And so obviously my crew guys are all total pros, and I can totally count and rely on them. But we also need to know what we're going to do when we get in there, what Matt is going to do. And so it's almost like a choose your own adventure ahead of time. We kind of lay out what might happen in these situations, how we're going to pivot if this happens versus this, and essentially have a plan where Matt can sort of navigate whatever comes up, because we truly don't know what these people are going to do, or what if they're going to recognize Matt within the first minute, if they're not going to recognize him, just all these different scenarios that we role play those ahead of time so that Matt's ready to go. But yeah, just the clockwork between the technical team and then with Matt and our preparation, it's not easy, but I think, we have a great team, and I think we pulled off some really great stuff in this case. So,
when we started out, basically there was Andrew Breitbart, and that was it. Breitbart kind of went around like the Pied Piper and sort of collected all of the conservative talent in California. And then PJTV poached all the people that he found because they could pay us, and Andrew couldn't. And we went over there and we started doing this, and there really wasn't anything else like us around at that moment. Now, obviously, the left has gone insane, and they're doing things that are, unbelievable, that we could not have expected them to do. But there's also we have a much bigger voice, or that's my impression, that we have a much bigger voice than we did. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that we've in some ways made progress, or do you feel it's all been a rear guard action?
No, I think there's a real path that's been cleared here. And I think, that path was forged with the stuff that was being done there at PJTV and some of the other things going on. I look back at that, and I'm amazed still to this day who was coming in and out of those doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really incredible. And here we are, some of us were kind of coming from the entertainment industry. You were, I was, other people were just kind of getting started. And it's really amazing to look back at kind of like there was really we were starting from the ground level there, and now we're no longer on the ground level. Conservatives are no longer on the ground level when it comes to this kind of thing. And so if you're a newcomer to this, I think they will say, hey, they're going to look back in the shadow of Andrew Klavan and be like, guys like that cleared the way, created this opening. Of course, that all coincided with the technology and with what was going on with social media and this new media that had been created. So in a lot of ways, we were kind of lucky. I look at myself as kind of lucky for being at the right place at the right time. But it also took a lot of talent and hard work. And I'm thankful to be a part of it, and really appreciate what everybody's sort of gone on to do, like you said, in the shadow of Breitbart.
It is amazing. I look at my resume now, and 80% of it is doing stuff that literally did not exist when I started my career. All I wanted to do was write books. And now I look at these things that I've done, and I just think, wow, that's stuff I couldn't have imagined doing it. I couldn't have wanted to do it. It couldn't have been my ambition because it wasn't there. Looking ahead, now you've got so much more technical knowledge than I do because you're in the technical side of this. And you're in the place where the technical side meets the creative side. What do you see going forward? What do you think the opportunities are for the young Justin Folk? He's waiting outside the door. He's just thinking, that's what I want to do. What would you tell him is the next big thing?
Well, the biggest thing is to get the craft, to develop that craft, because it doesn't matter what the technology is. It doesn't matter what's out there, right now or 10 years from now or 10 years ago. You just have to be good at what you do. You have to be a good storyteller. You got to be a good communicator. And so I would say, listen, you're going to find that right, whatever that is, whatever that platform is, whether it's a film, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is, there's going to be ways for you to get your message across, but your message damn well better be good. And to do that, you have to make, you have to go out and make things, and not everything is going to be a winner, but you have to develop that craft. And so that's what I would tell them is listen, the technology stuff is it's a very expensive recording device, but that's all it is. So we need to go out and be good at what we do. And almost the way the left has always been good at storytelling up until now. Now they're humorless and insufferable, but but we can take that baton and run with it. But we have to be good at storytelling and doing what we do, technically speaking, and in a sense of being good storytellers.
people don't realize how much of a movie is made in the editing room and how much of it is constructed. Now, if you're doing a fiction piece, you tell the actor, I'm going to need this shot, I'm going to need that shot, please do it 5 more times. Or if you're Jeremy, please do it 57 more times. And,
Right.
and then you have stuff to cut, because there's not going to come a point when I need him smiling, but I don't have him smiling. You got all that. You only have one take here, as you said. What is the editing process like? Harder, or is it easier because you have less to work with?
Editing process is always difficult because you have to be willing to let go of things. So whether you have one take or many takes, it sort of is the same process. And we also have scenes that we shot that we didn't use, that didn't advance the story the way we needed it to.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we collaborated with Jeremy on this, but we sort of had another take at this film and tweaked some things, because some of the scenes that we had early on, even though they were highly entertaining, they didn't function in our story the way they needed to. And so you just have to have that discipline to be able to walk away when you have something in the edit that just doesn't work, for the greater good of the story. So that is a discipline that you develop over time, because when you start out, and you probably realize this as a writer, you just are so in love with your work starting out.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to kind of step away from that. And say, okay, that was good, but it's not working in this case. So I credit, Jeremy for collaborating with us on that. And I also, of course, I credit the Daily Wire for making a film like this, being, who else would make a movie like this? Who else would pay money to let Matt Walsh and I go and have shenanigans and, get a message across in a funny way. So,
yeah, but, it's funny because we've been successful, because the Daily Wire has taken off. We get a lot of flack from people, who think that we only do it for money, or we're in league with somebody, or whatever they say, all this crazy stuff. But it's just absolutely true. The courage that it has taken, and the kind of vision that it's taken, which we all credit Jeremy with, and everybody. Look, book writers need editors, and people, filmmakers need somebody to look on. But it's just an amazing thing that has happened here. When we think about where you and I started out doing this, it's an amazing place. I hate to say this, and if you ever tell anybody I said this, I will tell them it's a lie, but I'm proud of you, buddy. I think you've done a great job, and I think it's terrific where you've come.
Thanks, Andrew. It's an honor to come back this many years later and be on your show and talk about this stuff and look back very fondly at the journey. And, that journey started with you, and I really appreciate that. And, as much as I regret talking to you too, it's good to do it every so often. So
you might what you escaped. Justin, it's great to see you. I really believe this movie is going to be a smash, and good luck.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
All right. The film obviously is Am I Racist? It opens on Friday, this coming Friday. I have not seen it as we're taping. I will have seen it by then, and I hope you will go out and get yourself some tickets. AmIRacist.com. I can't tell you how much it helps the film for you to pre-order tickets. It makes a huge, huge difference, because it shows the theaters that people are interested, that people are coming. It has meant already that we've gotten many more theaters to show this than we had at the beginning. Your support is what makes it work. The film just looks terrific. Everything I've seen of it looks great. I hope you will go to Am I Racist? Go to AmIRacist.com for tickets. And on Friday, come to the Andrew Klavan Show after you've seen the picture or before, and I will be there waiting. See you then.